Deportation flights are taking off across the United States every single day. Thousands of individuals are being removed weekly under intensified ICE operations, with flights quietly departing from major hubs like Texas, Arizona, and California. In this video, we'll break down how many have been deported this week, where these flights are heading, and what it means for the future of U.S. immigration enforcement. Right now, deportation flights are quietly departing from the United States, every single day. These aren't emergency operations or rare cases. These are routine, scheduled removals coordinated by ICE air operations, a little-known but highly active branch of immigration and customs enforcement. These flights are part of a logistically complex but systematically organized effort to remove individuals who have been ordered deported. And most of these flights happen without any media coverage, without public announcements, and often under heavy secrecy. Even at major U.S. airports, these operations are kept low profile to avoid public disruption or protest. According to official data released by DHS and ICE, deportation activity has remained consistently high throughout the spring of 2025. As of June 10th, more than 207,000 individuals have been deported since January. In May alone, over 28,000 individuals were booked into ICE detention, with many processed for removal shortly after. Estimates suggest that ICE is currently deporting between 600 to 1,000 individuals per day, depending on the scale of ongoing operations, which adds up to approximately 25,000 to 45,000 deportations per month. Independent tracking groups such as TRAC at Syracuse University and the Migration Policy Institute provide baseline deportation estimates, around 400 to 600 individuals per day. This translates to roughly 3,000 to 4,000 deportations per week. But during coordinated enforcement sweeps, weekly totals can spike, reaching as high as 6,000 to 7,000 removals. To put that into perspective, that's the equivalent of a small town being removed every single week, flown out of the U.S. through secure charter aircraft bound for destinations across Latin America, the Caribbean, and Africa. Some individuals are deported within days of arrest, particularly recent border crossers, while others may spend months or even years in detention before their final removal. These flights often originate from major deportation hubs such as Alexandria, Louisiana, home to a central ICE staging facility, Mesa, Arizona, which handles removals along the southwest border, and Brownsville, Texas, a frequent departure point for flights heading to Latin America. Even some commercial airports in California and Florida have been used discreetly for removal operations. The destinations of these flights vary, but most are headed to countries such as Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Haiti. Others are bound for Brazil, Colombia, or even Ghana and Nigeria, depending on the nationalities of those being deported. What makes these operations unique is their scale and consistency. Flights often carry dozens of detainees at a time, all processed through ICE detention centers and loaded onto chartered aircraft, many operated by private contractors under government contracts. These are not commercial airlines. These are controlled flights, with law enforcement escorts, strict protocols, and classified schedules for security reasons. But who exactly is being deported on these flights? The answer varies. Some individuals crossed the border illegally in recent weeks and were quickly removed under fast-track procedures. Others were picked up during workplace raids, traffic stops, or even courthouse appearances. And some had final deportation orders pending for months or years, now executed under tightened enforcement strategies. The recent surge in deportation flights is closely linked to a wave of targeted immigration raids and enforcement actions taking place across the country. These arrests are feeding into the system, with many individuals being detained, processed, and placed on removal flights within days. One of the largest enforcement actions occurred at the Delta Downs racetrack in Louisiana, where over 80 individuals were detained during a targeted raid involving ICE and Homeland Security agents. Many of those arrested were undocumented workers with no prior criminal records, and reports suggest that several have already been removed via ICE air operations. In California, authorities have focused on Los Angeles, specifically the warehouse and garment district areas. Multiple enforcement actions have led to the arrest of hundreds of individuals working without legal documentation. While not everyone is deported immediately, many are held in ICE facilities before being transferred to staging hubs like Mesa, Brownsville, or Alexandria. Courthouse sweeps have also resumed in places like Chicago and Pennsylvania. In these operations, ICE officers detain individuals after court hearings, particularly those with existing removal orders or who failed to appear at prior immigration proceedings. Some are flown out within days. Each of these raids, whether at workplaces, warehouses, or public buildings, is followed by logistical action, detention, processing, and ultimately, deportation flights. This is how the system moves rapidly from arrest to removal, contributing to the increasing number of daily deportations. In cities like Los Angeles and Chicago, protests have erupted outside ICE facilities and detention centers. Activists argue that these operations are tearing families apart and targeting low-risk individuals who have lived and worked in the U.S. for years. Some demonstrations have led to clashes with law enforcement, and in Chicago alone, over 70 protesters were reportedly detained last week. Critics of the current strategy call it inhumane and claim that it disproportionately affects working families, especially in immigrant-heavy communities. They've raised concerns over due process, rapid removals, and the use of courthouse arrests, practices they say create fear, even among legal residents. Supporters, on the other hand, argue that the law is finally being enforced. Many believe that strong immigration control is essential for national security, job protection, and restoring legal order. Amid growing debate over deportation operations, the White House has continued to stand by ICE and its enforcement strategies. Officials emphasize that these actions are not new, but part of long-standing immigration law, now being more actively enforced in response to record border crossings and court backlogs. According to statements from DHS and White House officials, the focus remains on removing individuals who pose public safety risks, recent unlawful border crossers, and those with final removal orders. The administration frames these deportations as necessary to restore order at the border and uphold the credibility of the legal immigration system. While the administration has faced pressure from both immigration advocates and border state governors, its official stance remains clear. ICE is acting within its legal mandate, and the expansion of removal operations is part of a broader national security and border enforcement agenda. If you found this video informative, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on immigration, enforcement actions, and U.S. policy changes. And don't forget to tell us, what do you think about these ongoing deportation operations? Do you support them as a necessary step toward stronger border control? Or do you believe they go too far and affect the wrong people? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.